Welcome back to a fresh new week at the Forest home. I'm so excited to be back here. My parents worked a little bit behind the scenes, like I mentioned before, to finish up some key features in that primary bathroom. And this week, I get to button up and finish up some exciting projects from last time. The glass finally came in and is all the proper size for the hutch cabinet, so I can go ahead and install that glass. We are also going to start talking about some different options for countertops for the kitchen, some really pretty, fun, and unique designs. We are actually going to be making our own countertops for this kitchen, and same with the primary bathroom. We've done this with countless houses before, and I'm really excited to show you the process and the design plans behind the vision that we have for this kitchen. I was able to source from a secondhand store some really beautiful tile that was made in Spain and imported over. It's got that really pretty raw edge look while still being a really neutral color. I'm excited to be able to see how that's going to look in this little kitchen. But before we dive right into that, let's go take a look at that primary bathroom and see some of the changes that were made while I was gone. This entire bathroom got primed and painted, and it's looking so bright, so clean. That drywall work is absolutely beautiful, so smooth. We opted to do no texture in this entire house, and honestly, that is my preferred look. I do like nice and smooth walls, but we ultimately decided no texture as well because we're trying to blend this drywall with some of the paneling that is already in this house. And if we're adding a whole other texture, it's just gonna be a little much, in my opinion. Besides the paint and the brightening up of the room, the plumbing was done behind the scenes. The neo-angle shower pan has arrived. It's been installed. That drain is in and everything's connected. The new plumbing fixtures have also been installed, and all of that is looking great. It's basically time to add in that cement board to the back of the wall and start prepping for tiling. We haven't picked out the tile that we're thinking. We have a couple of options in the back of our mind. I do think that we are going to go with a larger format tile, just something that is installed pretty quickly and easily. As much as I love the smaller tile look on shower walls, it takes a lot longer to do. And they have some really pretty options out there that will play and tie in with all of the colors of this home very, very well. Besides that, all of the trim work and the walls have been addressed. All of this has been painted in the hallways and in the main living areas. Really, it's just only the bedrooms at this point that need that wall paint and trim paint. And it has made an incredible difference to have all of these doors painted a lighter, brighter color. This Spanish sands is such a pretty color against the Swiss coffee. They complement each other beautifully, and it's so satisfying to see all of this come together. We also installed all brand new hardware to all the doors. This includes not only the door handles, but also all of the hinges. While we were at it, while we had the doors off, while we were painting, it's such an easy step to replace the hinges and swap it out to something new and matching to the rest of the house. With the preliminary tour all wrapped up, let's dive headfirst into the next couple of projects. That's why I was gonna trace it from underneath, but I don't know.
That's what we can do. So mark that edge there.
Because is this an
Mark
inch?
this edge here. No, it's just over.
Okay.
Mark this edge here. Pull it out a little. Pull it out a little.
More?
Oh, that's good. I don't know if I have to get it past this. Tip it up. I could take the whole thing. Hold on.
We spent this morning doing some planning, figuring out where everything's gonna go, the sizes. We went to the store and we picked out some tile and did a rough drawing of what we want this vanity to look like. So as far as the colors and the tile and all of that, we did pick up some of these really large format tile for the shower walls. It's a really pretty warm tile. I think it's gonna be really beautiful in here. And then when it comes to the flooring here, we grabbed this tile. It's a little bit more muted, but still very warm. Obviously not shiny. We don't want anything overly glossy for the floor because you could slip and fall pretty easily if it gets wet. So I think this is gonna be a great option. And when we set all of that together and put it next to the flooring that we're actually going to put in the rest of the house that will butt up to the flooring in the bathroom, I think it's going to be a pretty combination. I am planning to go with a 6-foot long vanity. Again, it's going to be a double vanity and it will go roughly right here. So it's going to be a really large size with 2 sinks, and the center part will be just free counter space, which will be excellent. I am gonna have to build this one a little bit different than the other bathroom vanity because I have all of this pipework that I need to enclose and hide. Basically, this has to stay there, and I'm worried that you will be able to see this if you squat down or you're cleaning, anything like that. So my plan is actually to build a closed-in base, and the entire vanity will actually sit on top of it. The base that I'm building will be a couple inches smaller so that it has a tiered effect, and we can go ahead and put the vanity in place and then tile up to it instead of having to tile underneath it because you'll never see it. It's kind of the same idea as more of like a kitchen cabinet vanity where you bring your tile to the actual edge of the cabinet itself. This is my rough drawing, very, very rough, of the bathroom vanity. I want it to be 72 inches long and 34 inches tall. It's gonna be split into thirds. The 2 side sections are gonna have doors on top and a drawer on the bottom, and then the middle section will be all drawers. This is that platform that I'm gonna have it sit on top of. That way it can hide all of the pipes and stuff while still giving it an interesting look, not just a cabinet that's sitting directly on the floor like that. I have my rough cuts that I need from my first piece of plywood, and I'm gonna start assembling these and kind of see how the drawer boxes need to be laid out as I'm going, as the plumbing is getting done. That way I make sure to leave enough space for the plumbing to actually be in there. With my 6-foot long vanity split into 3 sections, I do want to make sure to map out those 3 sections exactly equal distance from each other. So each of them will be 2-foot sections. This can be a little tricky because you do have to take into account the thickness of the actual center dividers themselves. So they'll be a little bit shy of 2 feet, but roughly 2 feet is what they turned out to be in the end. And just like the kitchen cabinets, everything's going to be held together with plenty of wood glue and pocket holes. And I do want to make sure to edge band all of those raw edges so that it gives it a nice finished look. I don't know why edge banding is my least favorite part of this. It always seems like it's never ending. I want to edge band all the sides, obviously, that will be showing. That includes one long edge of the bottom and one side each of all 4 boards. That will either be the sides or the dividers. And of course, not to mention any areas of the cabinet doors or drawers that might show. These are those center boards that will be dividing the cabinet. And I'm going to go ahead and put pocket holes on the inside, on the bottom, to attach it to the bottom. The reason I'm doing it on the inside is because this center will be nothing but drawers, so you'll never see the pocket holes. They will be hidden by drawers. Yeah, but just to line up this edge with that line, that little mark. Uh-huh.
It's gonna warm up.
I know. So that's going to be roughly where everything is. I really wanted to get this vanity base in here at this stage because we're going to have some plumbing that I'm going to have to build around. The drain comes out on this right side cavity where the vanity sink is going to be, and then we're going to have to attach the left side to this right side drain. The water comes up somewhere underneath around here. That's not a big deal. We'll go ahead and drill some holes through the bottom of the cabinet, get those water lines up, and then they can run through the back. Much like the other bathroom vanity, I am going to build the bottom of this cabinet door. If you remember, there's going to be a door on the top and a drawer on the bottom, and both are going to be a little bit more shallow than the actual full depth. What I am going to do is install a slightly shorter base. Right here, I cut some spacer blocks so that everything is nice and level. Well, it will be when I mess with it. So this will be a drawer, this will be a cabinet, and I can go ahead and still have lots of access to pipes and stuff behind this. I'll put a little bit of a lip on here so that things don't roll off quite so easily, but it's just the way it's gonna have to be. It's still lots of extra storage, just a little bit more shallow storage than normal. I might be able to do a larger one on the left side cabinet. I'm not sure yet. If you happen to notice in my drawing mock-up, I am actually going to do more of like a shaker style set of doors for this cabinet. I'm going to just do flat drawer fronts for all the drawers, but the doors are going to have more of a shaker style. I'm doing this in a more simplistic way. Everything will be held together with glue clamped up, and that edge banding will also help to hold all the pieces together after that glue has had time to fully cure. There are so many different methods and ways that I've seen people make shaker style doors. This is just what I opted to do. Doesn't mean it's the best way. It's just the easiest way for me at the time, and they're incredibly sturdy at the end of the day. Luckily, these doors glued up perfectly. They're nice and flat. That's always the struggle when you're trying to do doors like this with an inset panel. The key is to definitely let the glue dry, smushed or clamped or something to something nice and flat and sturdy. Whenever I'm edge banding, I like to work on two sides at the same time, two opposite sides. So for example, with these, I'm gonna do the two short ends first, let them completely dry, cut everything down, trim off the excess, and then I'll work on the long sides. After that, that way I'm not trying to trim off the excess and worry about breaking any of it on the other side. This bathroom vanity is going to get the same stain that I've been doing throughout the rest of this home. I want everything to match and tie together very nicely, even though they're in different areas of the house. It starts off with this quick drying oil stain, and I'm going to finish off with that tinted satin top coat, just like you've seen me do for the rest of this house. Because I'm also planning on these doors and drawers to be inset, I do want to carry that stain color about 2 inches inside the cabinet so that you don't see any shadows of that lighter wood peeking through. If this stain had been lighter, I wouldn't necessarily have to do that. It wouldn't show quite so much, but because there's such a contrast between the unstained color and the stained color, I want it to look as finished as possible. You will notice that the different pieces of plywood that I've used to construct these drawers do look quite different when they are not stained. Once applied, that stain does even things out quite a bit. This is technically the back side of the door right here. That's why that panel is so dark. The front side is a little bit lighter. And once I add that tinted top coat to all of the components of this door, it does even out everything a lot, and you don't notice the difference in tones between the different styles of plywood. I still had yet to make the drawer boxes because I really wanted to make sure I was going to only have to make them once and make sure that the plumbing was going to fit. So once I had all my measurements, I took it out to the saw and just started assembling all of these drawer boxes. I needed 5 in total. So it's a lot of repetitive work once I have all my measurements down. The stain has now dried enough so that I can go ahead and put that first top coat on. I do want to definitely get some top coat on these shelves just to make it a little bit more wipeable. Like I've mentioned a million times, kitchens and bathrooms, they can definitely use some wipeability. So for that reason, I am using a satin top coat. It's a little bit easier to clean than say like a matte finish. That, and I mean, I have it available because that's what I use for 99% of my projects. And you might notice the pink hue in the shower. That is not staying. That is a waterproofing membrane that we put on before tiling. It just seals everything in even more than has already been. It's already pretty watertight, and then you put that membrane on and it's basically set for life. But they make it a incredibly bright, obnoxious color. And it also kind of stinks too. But that is the exciting thing. Now that all that cement board is on, I think we're gonna start tiling tomorrow possibly. It could get, that's always exciting. A lot of big changes coming in. This bathroom's gonna come together pretty quickly at this point. It would have been a lot easier to be able to stain and spray this in a different room or outside, but we really wanted to get the plumbing dry fit in this cabinet so that I really do know that I'm good to go with the different drawer sizes that I picked out, not to mention the height of the shelves. And we are good now. Everything's all mapped out. And that little bit of peace of mind is worth the little bit of tedious work to brush this by hand. I'll probably still spray the drawer fronts and the doors just because it is easier, and those are obviously separate right now from the rest of the cabinet.